transparency, and third is immutability. So if you look at these, if you decentralization, there's no third party, so there's no centralized data. The data is stored, or your change or your blocks of data are stored across millions that are on blockchain. So it is not stored in one place. So if you find immutability is connected with that, you can't change data on all these computers, and therefore one is that data cannot be lost, and two is that no embezzlement can be done. That means it is immutable. And transparency has two connotations. One is transparency, and the other one is privacy. Privacy is as important as transparency, and in case of blockchain, you get both. You get privacy because you transact through public address, and you don't transact with your name. So you are not visible. That means your privacy is not lost. And it's transparent because with that public address, you can get all the records. That means anyone who knows the public address of an organization can actually check the transactions that have been carried out by that organization. Right. So with that, I don't think I should continue talking on blockchain, because we have an expert who has a long experience of blockchains or working in blockchains, and is an expert. So I invite Dr. Vidyadhar Poddar to address the gathering or the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So Vidyadhar sir, we can start now, and you can share your screen with us.
Okay. I think you need to enable the
yes, screen sharing.
Just one moment.
Okay.
So now it is allowed. Please check.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So you are able to see?
Just a minute. I'm just
Sure,
trying
sir.
to make it full screen and then
Okay.
share.
Sure, sir.
Okay. Are you able to see the shared screen?
Yes, we are able to see.
Okay, cool.
Yes, sir.
All right. First of all, I would like to thank you. Thank you all for giving me this opportunity to speak to such a large audience. So I'm very humbled to be here, and I hope I can do the best of this opportunity. Bakar sir, you did a very great and fantastic introduction of blockchain. So I will probably skip a few slides, reduce my presentation by that. But seems like you are quite interested in this space. So I hope you enjoy my talk. All right. To give you a brief background about myself, I run the Blockchain Research and Development Lab at Curtin University. It's been funded by an American company called NatSoft Corporation. And we are based in the School of Management in the business school. I have a background in computer science. My PhD was in cybersecurity. But as of now, I'm based in the business school. So on this one slide, I want to give a bit of a history and and information about the lab, about the research that we have done, the products that we have developed, and the national policy that I have influenced in Australia. Okay, so to start with the lab, as I mentioned, we started this last year, formally launched as an entity in the university. I've been working in the space since 2016. We undertake R&D in blockchain and related areas, including IoT, machine learning, NLP, RPA. So most of the emerging technologies, we work very closely. We have partnerships with expert or selected companies who have these core skills. And the idea with blockchain is the way I like to explain blockchain is a part of a solution. Yeah, so it is not a complete solution. So for any business, a complete solution would involve a number of things, a number of technologies or a technology suite. And this is where emerging technologies like the ones that I mentioned come in a picture. So it's like an orchestra. Everyone has their part that they have to participate and add value to the overall final solution. So far, we have been quite active in the agriculture and the supply chain space. In that area, we have done a number of projects. We have commercial solutions in that space. And we are now entering into fintech and energy markets. So that is our direction for in the future. We organize a number of events, webinars, physical events, more so webinars in the current situation, but we ran a number of events last year. Towards the end of the year, we're also planning to run an international conference on blockchain and emerging technologies. We will see how the situation pans out. There are a number of PhD students that work with me in my lab, and many other researchers within Curtin also work with us in this lab. So in terms of research, now I'm talking about the second column, research. These are some of the research areas that we have done some work already. Blockchain interoperability, blockchain adoption within organizations, supply chain and blockchain, smart grids and energy informatics, strategic mineral traceability, data cleansing and IoT, risk management, identity management, and even in marketing and advertising space. So these are some of the areas that me and my team are currently pursuing. In terms of products, you can see on the right side, we have developed 2 blockchain-based products at the moment. One is called Spider Docs. It is a file sharing application built on a blockchain platform with very strict access control mechanisms. So if you are familiar with using Dropbox or Google Drive to share your files, you know that it is very easy for you to forward that file or send it across to anyone, who may or may not have access to that file. So to prevent that, we have built this solution. And so using this, you cannot forward files without authorization. And also, it gives you a complete history of that file from the time it was created till the time it is archived or destroyed. So it's very useful solution for a number of industries, especially in the legal space, litigation, or mergers and acquisitions, where they need to assess doing their due diligence. With such a system in place, they will have the confidence of operating. The next solution or the product that we have developed is a subscription-based service for supply chain traceability using blockchain. We are currently deploying it with 2 companies. One is a group of farmers that grow flax seeds. So that is one system that is live, and the another one we are currently developing. In terms of the national and the policy inputs, so the lab has been active in shaping the Australia's national blockchain roadmap. You can see the report, which is on the bottom right corner of the slide. So I was quite active in that. Basically, the two areas that lab heavily focuses on, one is agriculture and another one is credentials. So both those areas are highlighted by the Australian government. The third thing that is also important and is highlighted is on KYC. So we have started to work on digital identities and blockchain since then. So that's a little bit of the background. You can see these are some of the research projects and research reports that the lab has developed in partnership with our customers, our clients. So we have done work for traceability of oranges, flaxseed. We have done work on blockchain for land registries and certificate of titles, blockchain for risk management, warranty management, energy trading, energy management, and also in strategic mineral traceability. So these are some of the works that we have already completed as part of the lab's initiatives. So now let's talk about blockchain. So I had this slide where I was going to explain what is blockchain, but I guess we can skip from this because Bhaskar did a very good explanation of this. But in briefly, what I will say is, if for a lot, I mean, I guess I don't know the audience, but I guess you are from tech space, or even if you're not from, the simplest explanation that I give for a blockchain is a database. You know, when we say that blockchain is a database, people try to get a hang of it. You know, they think like, oh, I know databases. I've used databases in the past. But there's one very important difference that makes it a blockchain and not a database. And that difference is, in a traditional database, you can add information, you can edit information, and you can delete information. When you come to a blockchain space, those facilities or those features kind of become, they're non-existent. So when an information is stored on the blockchain or recorded on a blockchain, it remains there. You know, it's not like you can go back and delete the information stored on the blockchain. So you can, in a sense, you can consider blockchain as an append-only database, which means you can only information to the database, but you cannot kind of delete any information from it. So that feature where you cannot delete makes information immutable. So you cannot go and change information on your as you feel on your own will. You know, once the information is recorded, it is there forever. So a number of times I get questions from audience that, oh, so what happens if I make a mistake while adding some information to the blockchain? What do I do? You know, I may type my name, my bank details incorrect or something. So to answer that question is you would have to create another, you would have to store that information once again. You know, that is the only way out. You have to tell the platform or the blockchain that the information that I added on this particular day was incorrect. And now this is the correct information. So please disregard the previous information. So you can see by doing that, I am not actually going and changing information, but I am adding new information to rectify any errors that might have happened. So this is the beauty of blockchain. You know, giving you that flexibility, giving you that immutability, transparency, audit trail, paper trail, that once something has happened, it is recorded forever. And that has a lot of use cases in industries for different sectors. So supply chain happens to be one very important use case where we can use a blockchain. Okay. Like I mentioned, I'm based in the School of Business, or we are in the business school. And what we have done is we have tried to blend our research areas, or try to call it blockchain for business. So this is what our vision is of what we want to be, or what is the the area or the research that that we want to pursue. So on a very high level, we have designed or kind of got three broad areas of research. So these are decentralized enterprises, so research in that space, blockchain modeling, and blockchain in marketing. And there was a reason to kind of focus on these three areas. And the reason being blockchain, I mean, there is a lot of work that's already been happening in blockchain. So how do we differentiate ourselves? How could the lab differentiate itself in this crowded blockchain space? So we had to kind of come up with some specializations that we would work on. So in the initial days of the lab, when we kind of formulated or formed the lab, we came up with these areas. And the bubbles or the circles on the right side shows some of the sub-research themes in our area. For example, in decentralized enterprises theme, we have workflow modeling, strategy, blockchain architecture, decentralized cooperation, and energy management. Topics like these. On the left side, in the red bubbles, blockchain modeling, we have taken a mix of management plus computer science or IT related areas. So given the fact that I have a background in both these areas, I think this multidisciplinary research will be very powerful in this space. So here we are looking at, say, privacy and anonymity, blockchain visualization, data protection, smart contracts, model-driven engineering, domain-specific models, enterprise adoption, and so on. So these topics or these areas are very new and are quite emerging within the blockchain space itself. So if you are a researcher in, say, management, in computer science or finance, any business discipline or any computer science or software engineering discipline, you will find something or else related in this area. And if you look at the green bubbles, this was a very specific choice that we had to make, and that was in blockchain for marketing sector, marketing industry. And if you see, there is not a lot of work that has been done in this area. Okay, so, and the work that we are currently doing is on online advertising monitoring. At the moment, if you are using any online advertising platform to promote your products or services, you rely on that third party to provide you with customers where these your advertisements would be showcased or shown. But there is no way for you to actually know whether the person who is watching your ads is the real customer. You know, you may be showing an ad to a 10-year-old or 15-year-old kid when your product is probably not meant. So how do we ensure that we address or we show our adverts to the right audience? So for that, we are building this an amazing blockchain platform that will address this situation. So if you see here, we have identity management as one of the areas within this space, and that is very important for marketing, because you need to know who the customer is. You know, you need to know the identity of the customer. So when you are showing the ads to a potential audience, that has to be the right audience. And as a company who is spending the advertising budget for these advertising budget for putting online ads, they would want their ads to be shown to the right people. So identity becomes a very critical aspect there. But with identity comes compliance and data compliance. So if you have looked at the GDPR regulation in the European Union, there are pretty strict guidelines in terms of the data ownership and the identity. So we have to, if you're building a marketing platform of this sort, we have to keep that in mind as well. So co-creation and monetization, trust building frameworks, these are some of the areas that we have to work on, or we are working on. Other than that, interoperability is also a very important topic. As you can see, there are many different types of blockchains that are being built at the moment. So there is Bitcoin blockchain, there is Ethereum, there is Hyperledger, there is Corda. There are many different types of blockchains platforms that companies are adopting. So you kind of need to have a framework using which these different blockchains can talk to each other. So interoperability becomes very critical in that context. So we are working on. So like I said in the previous slide, I showed you a number of reports that we have done for different industries. So these are some of the areas, some of the topics that we already worked on. So if you want to know a bit more about that, you can visit my YouTube channel. So I've made videos on on a number of different topics on blockchain. So if you're kind of starting your journey in blockchain, I would definitely recommend you to have a look at these videos. So there is a complete if you're in the management and human resources space, there is a complete 6-part video on how blockchain can be applicable to human resource management, how you can apply this technology for the students in the university or within employment as well. So both for students as well as for staff, it will be very helpful. Similarly, I have made a number of other videos, as you can see, for land registry management, an introduction to blockchain as well, blockchain for provenance of wine, metal and mining, and there are many other videos that you would find very helpful. So I would recommend you have a look and also subscribe to my channel. So it's youtube.com/my name, Vidy, V-I-D-Y, and last name Poddar, P-O-T-D-A-R. I will share the link in the chat. But you would see it will be very useful if you're starting in this space. Plus, I also do a regular webinars on my channel, and you will find those interesting too. Okay, so of all the topics that I spoke about, I thought, what is it that I should talk? What is it that I should focus for today's session? And what I thought was, given the diverse audience, it would be interesting to make this session a mix of technology plus management. And then I thought, let's talk about blockchain and governance. So when we say governance, what do we mean? So in simple words, what is governance? Governance means to rule over by a right of an authority. For example, if you are in a university, the university becomes a governing body that runs the university or the college, offers you courses and degrees. So that is governance, right? So when we talk about governance in the blockchain space, there are two things that we are actually thinking about. So firstly, who governs the blockchain? Yeah, so governing a blockchain is the first aspect versus governing a business with blockchain technology. So that is the other aspect. So we will look at both the aspects now. So governing a blockchain versus governing a business with blockchain. So let's get into governing a blockchain first. All right. So when we talk about governance, there are some very
there is a audio disruption.
Okay, sir, I'll check.
Can you hear me, Tarika?
Yes, I'm able to hear you. Please continue.
Hello. am I audible?
So you are audible, very much audible.
All right, okay.
Okay.
So let's talk about governance of blockchain. So one of the fundamental question that comes up with a blockchain is, who is going to manage the blockchain? Traditionally or normally we can imagine blockchain being two different types, public blockchain and a private blockchain. So with a public blockchain, the governance is managed by the people who are participating on that platform. So if it's a Bitcoin blockchain, it's a public blockchain, it is managed by the community. If it is a private blockchain, the question comes, who is going to pay for the development of the blockchain, who is going to pay for the maintenance of the blockchain, and so on. So if you look on this figure here, primarily, if you look at the blockchain models, so you can see we have an open model like the one that is followed in Bitcoin or any other public blockchain. And then we have enterprise blockchains. Yeah, and in enterprise blockchains, it could be backed by a consortium where a number of companies come and be part of a consortium and they decide to build a blockchain. And the other one is a formally constituted blockchain. So those are the different types of or governance models for managing a blockchain. So what are the key governance related questions, that you can think of, or what are the key challenges in terms of governance of a blockchain? Firstly, it's an emerging technology. Yeah, so everyone is trying their approach to see what is working and what is not working. So that is the first thing. So what are the best practices, or are there any best practices or recommendations that we can come up with? Are there any? Or if not, it is a good time to kind of build on that. The next thing is which blockchain protocol to be used and who can change that protocol. Because as you know, the way blockchain works is completely is codified. Whatever happens or how the blockchain programmed at the beginning before the launch of the blockchain. So there has to be some mechanism to address change in the environment. Things can change, business policies can change, regulations can change. So we would need to have a mechanism to change that protocol. How can that be done? So in case of Bitcoin, there is something that is called as a Bitcoin improvement. We call it BIPs, BIPs. So that is a kind of a mechanism where we can recommend a change to the protocol. That protocol is then accepted by the community or rejected by the community. If it is accepted, it becomes part of the new updated protocol. So that is one. So within the change of protocol, from a governance perspective, we have to think whether these changes can be done offline or whether they have to be done online. So that's when we talk about on-chain governance and off-chain governance.
Okay.
So an on-chain governance will be completely transparent and open to the community. They can see all the decisions, all the discussions, whatever leads to the forming of a new protocol. So that is the on-chain governance model. Off-chain governance model is when these decisions are made not on the platform but off the platform. So you can have like a formal physical meeting with the key stakeholders. They meet up and then they decide what or how the program, how the blockchain can be changed or amended. So that is the the second way. So overall, when we look at the governance, you have to think about a number of questions, which you can see I have listed here. How to design a blockchain? Who will build it? Because there is a cost associated with building a blockchain. You need to hire a development team who is going to start from scratch and come up with a solution. How will it be funded? Who is going to pay for it? Who will run and maintain the network and how? What is a blockchain protocol trying to accomplish? So if we are building a blockchain solution, what is the core problem that we are trying to address? And whether that could be addressed using a blockchain, and what is the best protocol for doing it? What problem does it solve? And who is it for? Who are the key stakeholders? So these are some of the questions that we need to answer even before thinking of developing a blockchain. These are the questions that need to be answered by management, by the senior management or top management within organizations before taking on a decision to implement blockchain. So another thing that comes, another challenge probably is the platform liability. If something goes wrong, who is liable? Who is going to take the responsibility? In the past, we have seen many cryptocurrency exchanges were hacked. People lost millions of dollars in these attacks. So who is responsible for such a scenario? So what this gives us is these challenges. When I talk about challenges, I always think about challenges from a perspective of an opportunity. So if there is a challenge, it also gives us an opportunity to come up with a product or a service that can solve that challenge, that can address that challenge. So just for example, I've given three ideas on the extremely left in the blue color boxes. So could we build a tool that will help decentralize existing businesses which operate in a centralized fashion? Yeah. So for example, at the beginning, Bakar sir mentioned about the third party involvement. So do we need an Uber? Yeah. If we are just going to connect drivers, passengers and the drivers, why do we need a company in between? We can directly connect them. So that's an example of decentralizing an existing centralized business. Could we build a solution? Could we build a service or a product that can help us do that? Another question that comes up a lot from the management is, am I going to make money? Is it a profitable venture for me to enter into? So can we build a tool that helps to showcase the benefit of going on a decentralized business model compared to a current centralized approach? So it could be kind of a simulation. It could be kind of a platform where you can feed in some numbers or some figures and try to ascertain whether building a blockchain-based decentralized business is going to be more profitable than what we currently have. And the third example is, could we build tools for algorithmic governance? About there are a lot of things that we do in our day-to-day life in organizations that can be kind of automated. You do not need human intervention. You do not need the delay in getting simple approvals. If processes could be automated using a smart contract, will there be a possibility to build even high-level tools that can offer algorithmic governance? And it's a very interesting field if you think about it. Is if the input is my organization productivity has to go from say 90% to 95% or 80% to 100%. It could be as simple as putting those two numbers and let the system come up with creative ways to reach that level of productivity. So that's an example of algorithmic governance, which could be possible. Yeah. Okay, so that was governance of a blockchain. All right, now let's move on to governing a business using blockchain. Now we have a existing business or existing operations. How can we take it from a traditional way to a blockchain based approach? All right. So the first thing that we have to understand in this is, in a blockchain in itself within an organization is not very useful. Yeah, for blockchain to be effective, it has to be across multiple industries. It could be one organization and its suppliers, for example. A complete supply chain automation has to happen for blockchain to really make that difference. So when you think about that, the first question that you need to answer is, what is the common business problem that blockchain can solve? So that is the first thing you should remember. And if you have excuse me, if you have multiple businesses who are competitors, but some things that they do not compete on, it may be shipping their products using the same shipping company or the same transport company. There may be some activities are non-competitive, some activities are competitive. So first of all, the challenge is, can we get these competitors on a blockchain platform? And are they or will they to share some of this information which they consider kind of very closely guarded secret? So are they will they be able to kind of open up a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit, to make things work better for everyone? So it is kind of a collective network effect that comes up because of multiple parties being on the same platform. So you don't need to spend time adding the same information in my database from my supplier. The information is there in my supplier's database. Why can't I just access the same information? Why do I have to hire someone to enter that information into my ERP system? Why can't we just leverage that information and improve our productivity? So if we are going to do that, what should be the criteria, and how do we decide what is the criteria to select or to reject a particular approach? So here I want to give a few examples of real world use cases. So I have highlighted 4 use cases here. One is dispute resolution, electronic voting, corporate governance, and decentralized autonomous organizations. So I'll talk a little bit about these 4 different use cases to give you an example of how things can change by implementing blockchain within organizations. So dispute resolution is something that happens in every organization. You have disputes between your suppliers and your or any of your different partners in your organization. Traditionally, if you have to resolve a dispute via a legal system, is like going to courts, is firstly it is slow, and secondly it is very expensive. So a lot of disputes kind of don't see an outcome. You have to compromise and move on. Many a time this can be intentional or unintentional. And when we think about small companies, they kind of do not have the power or financial capability to kind of litigate against a big multinational or a large organization. So this is a problem, and for a number of litigation processes, this can be kind of addressed using a legal process or a legal process automation. Many industries, if you look at the types of disputes that occur, are always more or less similar. you did not pay me on time, the product that I received was not good quality, I ordered something, you sent something else, I ordered 100 units, you only gave me 95 units. So the types of disputes are kind of limited. So the solutions for those disputes can also be a limited set of these solutions. So why can't we match the dispute with potential solution options? So if this is a dispute, we could suggest to those disputing parties that these are the 3 or 4 options that you have. Why not you come up with an agreement, or why not let those because we have seen in the past a dispute of this sort always results in these or 3 or 4 types of outcomes. And we can even go to a stage where we can say, for a company of your size and a company of that size, in historic records, we have seen that most likely on 90% occasions, this will be the solution that would work. Why not just go for that? Why not save everyone's time? That whole operation of dispute management can be done easily using blockchain and smart contracts. So that is just one example of how in the legal space blockchains can be helpful. Okay, now let's move on to the next example, which is for electronic voting or e-voting. So a lot of time we have a feeling, or people perceive, that voting is rigged. Many a times people feel that some fake votes have been casted during the voting process. So, and the traditional or the current voting mechanism is kind of slow and prone to errors, because there's a lot of human involvement in voting. And that kind of, if you think about it, it has been voting happened. We go to ballots to cast our vote. It has been happening for last, 50, 60 years. And there has been very limited innovation in that space. So for the current generation, who I like to call them a click generation or a tap generation, they just like to tap everything on the phone and everything is there. You want food, you tap. You want a cab, you tap. So to get these people to go and vote, they would like, why would I spend my time and go and queue up in such a long queue to vote? Why can't I vote from my phone? So we are going there. We will see that in the future, voting would happen through your mobile device. It could be through a decentralized blockchain environment, because it will give you extreme levels of security. You may be able to tamper one ballot station, but with a blockchain, since it's distributed nature, you cannot go and start tampering all of them. So it literally makes it very, very, very secure. So that is just one example. The second example is we kind of are in a environment or in a government structure where we appoint representatives to make decisions on our behalf. For example, the ministers or the local municipality candidates. We are moving towards, we can now move towards the next level of democracy, which we can call it as liquid democracy. And what I mean by liquid democracy is approach where people can make their decisions on specific initiatives that government is taking. Yeah, should we build a road from point A to point B, or between these two cities? At the moment, the government or the ministers take that decisions. We could go to a liquid democracy where people could tap on their phone and they say, okay, I support this initiative or I reject this initiative. And that will be possible with blockchain. So as you can see, we are kind of moving away from a centralized control to more of a decentralized operations or a network. Similarly, blockchain can be used in corporate governance. For example, there's a lot of paperwork that is required for companies, especially for listed companies, to report to the government or to the stock market. All that paperwork, all that thing requires a lot of, first of all, it requires a lot of time to gather and prepare those reports. And secondly, the assessing body needs to kind of trust that the information that is there is genuine. It is not kind of just fudged up or created on demand because we are getting an audit or something. So with a blockchain, you are kind of self-auditing yourself. You are capturing, adding information which is verified. So when an auditor comes, or when you have an audit in your organization, their job will be very easy because all the information that they need is already kind of verified and audited and then recorded on the blockchain. So your information is very pure, very clean, so the value or the trust in the information is very high, is very large. Okay, so I think those were the two things. I think we are already quite close to the time of my talk. So I think, so this is what I wanted to cover, blockchain, and specifically enlighten you with the idea of governing a blockchain and governing businesses using blockchain, because that is something very unique and interesting. And I have seen not a lot of information about this available on the internet or in the research paper. So I thought it would be a good topic to share. Before I conclude and hand over to you, I would just like to share with you a couple of webinars that I'm organizing this week and the following week. So if any of you are interested, more than happy for you to register. So the first one I'm going to run this Sunday, and I'm tackling a very interesting problem here, bridging the gap between industry and academia. It's a problem that we have been facing since I was at a university. Since then, from that time, we are talking about this challenge. So I've got two excellent panel members, one from an industry background, one is an entrepreneur and innovator, and myself from an academia. So a very interesting panel discussion planned for this weekend. Another one is a very different take on education. I'm not getting any experts, I'm getting students. I want to know what students feel about this whole situation. They have been currently working, learning from home, studying from home. So I got students from Curtin University and students from India, from Indian universities. And if there are any students listening now who would like to be part of this, please do let me know. I'm going to run multiple series of these webinars. So it will be an interesting experience to learn from a student perspective rather than just listening from a staff or an academics perspective of this whole situation. Okay, so on that note, I would like to say thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak with you all. It's really a great pleasure for me to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. We'll now have some question answer session. I have some queries in the chat box as well as received through Facebook. Vani ma'am, can you please take some queries?
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Sir, there is one query asked by Mr. Mahendra Singh, and he would like to know what are the associated legal issues in blockchain for emerging markets?
Associated legal issues. Okay, one of the things that probably is concern is blockchain is universal, and legal or regulations are very local or country specific. So some things that may work in one jurisdiction may or may not, or may even be illegal in some other jurisdictions. For example, cryptocurrencies is a very interesting example. It is a completely legal tender in some countries, whereas it is banned in a lot many countries. So that could be one challenge with blockchain.
Okay. Okay, so thank you so much. I think Mr. Mahendra Singh should get his answer. Now, next question is asked by Sue Yong, and she would like to know, in terms of marketing applications on blockchain for business, may I know if Curtin R&D department has done any relevant project with the real world industry so far? If so, may I know which company is that, and if there is any case study on it that we can, is it accessible?
Okay. Thank you, Sue, for your question. Like I said, it is an area that we have just started to work on. If you are interested in working in that space, I very much welcome you to connect with me. I don't know if you are based in Perth or in Australia or in wherever. If you are in Perth, do come and see me. We will actually be launching a number of internships, paid internships, starting by end of this. I think probably in the next 2 weeks you will see updates on my LinkedIn profile or on my YouTube channel. So we have substantial research funds to attract high quality, talented students to work with us. So if you happen to fit that area, I will be more than happy to have you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, sir. I think now Sue must be happy to know the grants and projects which can be, or which are offered by you. So she will get benefit of that. Now, next question is from Ambika Sundar, and she would like to know: is there any chance of hacking or manipulation in smart contracts? If so,
Yes.
how we can fix the liability?
Okay, so the smart contracts are still an emerging technology. Yeah, so there are a lot of companies that in fact offer the service of auditing smart contracts to ensure that we do not have a situation where a smart contract gets hacked. And the problem is not that it gets hacked. The bigger problem is, if the smart contract is incorrectly programmed, you cannot kind of go back and fix it. So if it says that even if the logic is pay X amount of dollars to someone, if it becomes 2X, you cannot go and change once the smart contract is deployed. So there is an inherent risk involved in it. So it would be ideally, what I recommend is be very careful. Try and test the logic on a test net a lot before on the live net.
Okay, so thank you so much, sir. Everyone is very much happy with your with this webinar, and they would like to know from where they can get the registration link for upcoming webinars.
Okay, I'll send it to you, Vani. Maybe you can post it on the Facebook link.
Sure, sir.
Yeah, yes. Or if you want, you can.
So we'll do like when you will share the link with us, we'll share with the participants who all are here. We can share with them. And so,
and if you want to scan
it
now,
yes.
You can scan the QR code that will take you to the
QR code is visible on the screen, right?
Okay.
So, Director, sir, I have a question from to be asked. Actually, there are many research scholars as well who have joined this webinar. So they must be like curious to know what are the research topics which they can work related to blockchain. So can you throw some light on it, please?
Yeah, so I think at the beginning of the session, I did show you that that picture, that figure. I'll probably take you back to that slide. And these are the areas that these are the areas that need research to be done. These are all you can consider as the research gaps in the blockchain technology space. So we are working on these challenges. We are working on these topics. So you are more than welcome to join this effort on addressing these research challenges. Plus, if you want, you can also refer to some of my published articles. There is most of my articles, if it is a literature review article, there would be a dedicated section on future research and where I pinpoint the exact research questions. So recently we did one article on blockchain and smart grids. I'll share you the link again for that article. And there is a very broad, detailed insights into the future work for that particular space on blockchain and smart grids.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. I would like to request Dr. S.S. Bhakar to give some inputs on the research perspective as well. He's a renowned researcher, and I would like him to throw some light on this. Please, sir.
Well, I personally feel these research areas can be divided in two parts. One would be the management part. That means how a problem can be understood and what solutions can actually solve the problem. And the second part would be the computer science part, how or what systems or what models can be used to do that. So, I mean, people from management can work on problems and what solutions can actually solve those problems. And from computer science part, they can look at what models would solve this problem, and maybe some integrated research projects can be taken up, wherein there are people from management and there are people from computer science. Both can come together and find complete solution of the problem. So I think that it will be more of collaborative research that would be a solution to a problem. Otherwise, part that is management side one side and computer science the other side, maybe that we will not be able to solve, we will not be able to find complete solution to the problem. So I think it gives you an opportunity to work in teams.
Yeah, I think I fully agree with you, sir. It has to be, and going into the future, I think the value of research is going to be assessed on its multidisciplinary nature.
Absolutely.
Rather than just sector or the domain specific research, because we have done that a lot. It is a time to kind of step out of the silo and
move on to
more collaborative research.
True.
Yeah.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much. And now there are some queries on Facebook as well. So I would request Dr. Rituraj Baba to come up with some of the queries. We have limited time, but Rituraj sir, do we have any queries? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. We do have few queries on Facebook. Good afternoon to all. Mr. Binoj Sukumaran has asked how blockchain will help in manufacturing to avoid black market duplication and tampering of the product.
Okay, so I think I think I need to show you the same slide again. There is a point on this slide which is called as brand provenance on the left side near the red section. So brand provenance exactly answers your question. What that means is we have to have a mechanism that can stop counterfeit products entering the supply chain. It is not a simple problem to solve. If you see in the industry, there will be a lot of material or companies that say that they have solved this problem. But let me give you a different perspective than what you would read. One of the biggest problems in counterfeit, I mean, the solutions that you would see online would be, they would say we have RFID tags on our products that cannot be tampered. We have QR codes or some things like that. But the thing is that if firstly, RFID tags can be cloned. So I can just take a read what the content of RFID tag is, create another tag and stick on it. So replicating, replacing a product is very easy in a supply chain. And even blockchain will find it very hard to address that problem. So where and how can we look into it? So at the moment we are working on, and this is product specific, so it may not apply in different for all products. One way is we have to come up with a tamper resistant or a tamper proof fabric or a material that will avoid duplication. For example, if you are wearing a shirt or if you are wearing a suit, maybe the threads that are used in the suit are not all, but some of them are uniquely identified using a DNA or a fingerprinting kind of system or a technique. And that fingerprint can be recorded on the blockchain. So it may not be applicable to like cheap products, but for expensive products like watches or handbags or some things like that, or gold, it could be something that could be applied. So relative to the cost of the product, this solution can be applicable. So it's a difficult problem to solve. And so another way to address that is to directly connect with your supply to your consumer. So replacement happens if it is a business to business transaction. So from a factory, it goes to a warehouse, to a distributor, to a retailer, and then to a customer. So there is a lot of opportunity for fake products to come in. But if it is business to a customer directly, so I place an order on Amazon, it directly reaches my customer wherever he or she is. We could use a specific tamper-proof packaging system. You know, a pack that if it is opened, we know that it is tampered. So B2C, in the B2C scenario, it is simple. B2B scenario, it is still a open research challenge.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. And sir, there is one more question asked by Mr. Anvesh Goyal. He's asking, what are the challenges which are faced while implementing blockchain in an emerging banks in an emerging country?
It's a very broad question, and probably there'll be, first of all, the challenges is to justify the management to invest in the project. I think that is the biggest challenge, whether in a developed country or a developing country.
Yes,
on a
sir.
technological front, I think it depends on different platforms, what platforms you're going to use, I would say. Choice of the right platform itself, and then there will be associated challenges depending on what platform you use.
Okay, sir. So these were the questions which were asked. Now I would hand over the mic to Dr. Tarika Singh, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Ruturaj sir. Vani ma'am, do we have one? We can take one more query, and after
Okay.
this, we'll close the session.
Sure, ma'am. Sir, there are a few queries in Zoom chat box. Miss Ankita Goyal from SRM University, Sonepat, would like to know, are that 51% and 33% attack a threat to the integrity of this technology?
Yeah, 51% attack is definitely, I mean, in theory, it is possible. But you have to imagine, okay, for those who don't know what a 51% attack is, 51% attack in a blockchain space refers to when more than 50% or 51% of people or nodes kind of decide to hijack the network. Yeah, so they decide that we are going to behave in a irresponsible way, or we are going to validate incorrect transactions or something like that. So depending upon how the project is implemented, if this is more of a problem on a public blockchain than in a private blockchain, Private enterprise blockchains, you know the identity of the participants, so that is not an issue at all. But in a public blockchain, yeah, it is. It can still be a issue. It can still be a problem on a theoretical level, but you would have to see the size of the blockchain. If it's a very small blockchain and there are only say 100 nodes, it is possible for 51 people to at least physically know each other to decide to attack the network. But on a large network or on a large platform, say like Bitcoin, it is theoretically possible, practically impossible. Because if you know the proof of works algorithm, how it works, it takes 10 minutes to create a new block. So if you have to go and change the transactions in the history physically, given the current infrastructure, it will be impossible or improbable.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. I hope the knowledge which you shared will help her to understand the integrity of the system. Okay, so next question is there from Dr. RPS Kaurav, and he want to know some application areas of blockchain in tourism industry.
In tourism industry, that's an interesting one. I have one student who is currently working on virtual reality and augmented reality for tourism, but there is no blockchain angle to it. But maybe my return question would be, why in tourism? What made you think that there would be a
Sir,
need for?
Actually, sir, Dr. RPS Kaurav is from tourism department.
Okay, let me maybe okay, I got an idea right now after you asked the question. One of the easiest applications in the tourism sector would be a digital currency or cryptocurrency. So if I'm traveling from Australia to any other country, instead of changing money for every different country, if I can pay using Bitcoin or any other virtual currency, it makes my life as a tourist much easier. So I think that probably could be the most useful use case for tourism sector.
Okay, thank you, sir. I think this will help him to successfully do some research work in the area of tourism industry.
Yeah, no, please do contact me if there is anything I can think of. I can definitely get back to you, but just email me so that I know that question came from you.
Sure, sir. Ma'am, last query for the day, like we are running out of time. You can take one more query and then we'll close.
Okay. Everyone would like to know about the application areas of blockchain. Someone has asked Dr. Prakash Parmar. He would like to know how blockchain can help aquaculture and fisheries.
Fisheries, actually, I'm going to start a project for the fisheries department. And we are going to build a traceability solution for prawns and abalone. Those are the two seafood products we have received some funding to work on. So yeah, so in the seafood industry, traceability of this seafood is very, very critical. And many companies, because again, coming back to the price of the product, it makes sense to implement blockchain. And here it is not just blockchain, but it is a blockchain plus sensors, so IoT and blockchain. Those two technologies will be used. Plus integrating it with GPS coordinates of where the catch was, where these seafoods were caught.
Okay, sir. Sir, I think your views will help them to do some research which will help the industries and the government to utilize the potential of this technology. Thank you so much, sir. Ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Like we have other queries as well, sir, but because of shortage of time, we'll not be able to take them all. But I highly appreciate your time and would like to invite Dr. Ruturaj Babar for his vote of thanks. Ruturaj, sir, please.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity. Good afternoon to all respected dignitaries my faculty colleagues and participants and staff members for the event. I feel honored and privileged to get an opportunity to propose a vote of thanks for the webinar on the topic blockchain research perspectives. I, on behalf of Prestige Institute of Management Gwalior, respected Director Sir Dr. S.S. Bakhar Sir, Coordinator for the webinar Dr. Tarika Singh and Dr. Vani Agrawal ma'am, entire faculty colleagues of the Institute and my own behalf convey deep regards, hearty thanks to the resource person for the webinar, Dr. Vidhi Pochadar, Associate Professor, Curtin University, Australia. I also express my sincere gratitude to Dr. S.S. Bakhar, Director Sir, Prestige Institute of Management Gwalior, for his continuous guidance, support, and motivation. I would also thank Dr. Tarika Singh, Associate Professor, Professor Prestige Institute of Management Gwalior, Coordinator for the webinar. I would also thank the respected faculty colleagues for their continuous, relentless support. And at the last, I would also thank social media cell of Prestige Institute of Management Gwalior for their continuous and relentless hard work for making this webinar successful. Thank you so much, sir. In the end, I would only say alone we can do little, but together we can do so much. Thank you to you all. I thank all the participants and the resource person for making this occasion graceful. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Sir, unmute.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, Professor, for that. It was excellent webinar.
Sir,
Thank
it
you
was
very much.
I do appreciate your time, sir. And from Prestige or Fraternity, I would like to express a heartfelt thanks to you. And I would also like to express thanks to all the participants who have joined us through Zoom and through Facebook. Your session was extremely knowledgeable. And again, for all those participants who were not able to join through Zoom, because we have a limited capacity on Zoom, but I hope you might have watched it on Facebook as live. And another thing, all those who have missed it because of some reason, we'll be putting it on YouTube as well. The recording of this webinar will be put on YouTube as well after some time, and we'll share the link with you. And I appreciate everyone. And we at Prestige, we are having another webinar which is planned on 12th of June, and it is on anxiety, panic, and remedies post lockdown among academicians. And the webinar is going to be the resource person of the webinar is Professor Himanshu Rai. He's the director. I am Indore, and it will be moderated by Dr. S.S. Bhakar. So I do expect every one of you to join. We'll share the other details of that webinar. And thank you everyone for joining. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay,
We may
thank
leave
you.
now. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you,
sir.
Tarika, for organizing and coordinating. And also thanks, Vani, for the whole event. It was a great experience to be connected. And thank you all to all those who are listening wherever, all around the world or in India. It's a great pleasure to know you all. So I know that it was limited time. I could not answer all your questions, but I'll be more than happy to respond to you if you contact me by email. Thank you very much.
Okay. Good day, sir.
Good day. Bye.
Bye-bye, sir. Bye.